Alright guys, so I've got some videos in the works, but I wanted to start putting these shorter videos out while in between the more anticipated ones, you know what I mean? Because it helps the channel, and it also gives me a chance to try out some new things. And one thing I really want to try is actually reading a comic. I found this one about the worst X-Men ever, and I thought it was just clickbait, you know what I mean? I thought they were tripping, but no, this dude actually sucks. His whole life, from start to finish, went from boring to terrible. Let's start at the first issue with Bailey. Bailey is by all means your average teenager. According to his best friend, he's generally liked, but when your gay best friend can pull more girls than you, then that's how you know you gotta change something. So he tries painting, skateboarding, even just listening to punk music because a girl was interested in it, but his ears couldn't take it and he sucked at everything else. So he just straight gave up until his parents sat him down and tells him, "Son, we're both mutants and we're pretty sure you're one too." His mom has X-ray vision, which I don't even want to know what she did with that power when she was younger. And all we get about his dad is that he can fry a bare egg on his chest. So I'm hoping that's something akin to Havoc, you know what I mean? And not just a stovetop chest man, you know? And afterwards, they all go to Xavier's mansion to figure out what his power is and if he even has one in the first place. And he's ecstatic because he finally has something that makes him unique. He won't be an outcast anymore. He'll have a cool power and he'll fit in with all the people with other cool powers. Until Beast told him in the most roundabout way possible that he's useless. He says your power is to blow yourself up. And Bailey's like, oh, does that mean I can reform my molecules or something and come back? But Beast is like, no, you'll just have blown up. Like, you just be dead. Because basically he has the ability to make himself explode. And that's it. Self-detonation without the benefit of like an extra life or anything. No, he just explodes. Upon hearing this, his self-esteem is shot. He literally has
crippling depression.
Because imagine feeling like an outcast even when you're on a team filled with other outcasts who were shunned out of society. And then, just his luck, he shows up when the mansion security systems are offline or something. Because they didn't expect a 12-foot tall, I don't know how tall those things are, but a huge sentinel on their front lawn, completely crushing this man's parents like bugs, and there was nothing he could do about it. He gets saved by the X-Men, but of course he's devastated about everything and decides to lock himself in a room at the mansion since he has no other place to go. After a month, Jubilee takes him out of his shell and he made some new friends and siblings, Rags and Riches, with his power being able to turn matter into solid gold. And he's also extremely entitled, bro. This dude sucks actually. And next to him is Rags, who's the nice sibling, with her power being to wither away matter, but it's only limited to walls and other solids like that. It's not the dude for My Hero at all. Bailey also gets gifted a high-tech suit from Forge, who tries to lift his spirits and tells him that he's just as much of an X-Men as anyone else is. He also says to not touch the suit yet because it's not finished. But right when things were starting to look up, the alarm sounds off. The mansion gets attacked again. And of course, our boy decides to take the suit for a spin. But upon doing it, he sees that everybody's taken care of except for this one guy, and he goes after him, but somehow he ends up triggering this man's PTSD because he looked just like this guy's uncle. And the man was freaking out. He literally almost peed himself. And afterwards, the guy takes Bailey to court. Or at least he tried to, but couldn't because he's still a minor, and She-Hulk is actually pretty good at her job. But still, because he took the suit, the school decided to completely take that privilege away from him, so no suit. So now he's back to square one. After that, he goes through various X-Men offsuit teams to try and be useful, but on every single team he gets recruited to, he ends up being a liability. He even almost let someone die once during his time at X-Force. Devastated, he walks to the forest to find some solace. But that's when things take a wild turn because Mystique comes out of nowhere and takes a page from EDP's book.
I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake
in order to convince him to kill Professor Xavier and basically become a suicide bomber for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And he was initially against it, but her performance was so convincing that it was on his mind over the next couple days. And every day after finding out he just wasn't useful to the other teams, he's just been reduced to being a butler for Rags and Riches, getting them water and cleaning their messes. Our boy then gets kidnapped by Magneto himself, and he tries to convince Bailey even more that he will avenge his parents' deaths and that Bailey will be remembered as a hero amongst the mutants. And now, that's all he can think about. After being tired of taking crap from Riches, he starts a fight with him. They get in trouble and they pretty much go to the principal's office, which is Professor X. And keep in mind, throughout the few months he's been here, and with all of this stuff happening to him, he's actually never met with Xavier face to face. But anyways, now that he's in the same room as Xavier and actually had a conversation with him, he fully understands just how inspiring this man is after asking some advice on how to live a better life. But the strangest twist happens after that. Riches just kills Xavier by turning his blood into gold. And it's not because he was recruited by Magneto, no, like he just did it because he wanted to. And that's because over the course of the comic, he went from being relatively humble to a full-on narcissist that is openly cruel to Bailey. And then it just does a time skip after that. It's crazy. Years passed, and now our boy is just a grizzled man in a bathrobe. You got people looking like the yellow M&Ms out here, but they're really just followers of King Riches. Oh yeah, he's now a king. And then you get this defeated man just fed up with his life because of everything he's went through in the past with his power, or lack thereof. And he gets invited to his enemies, who's the king's palace, to attend this Vanity Fair, which I had to look it up. I didn't know what the heck that was. But apparently it's like a party that lets the host show off how fancy or high class they are. He gets there and he meets Rags, who's been shagging Gambit for all these years. To the point where Rogue keeps hitting him up, but it never goes anywhere because of her, so I guess she's been alone for 20 years as well, which really sucks actually. And then we find out that Miranda over here, who wasn't really important to the story, so I didn't mention her earlier until now, but she's extremely powerful. They met when they were still kids, and she's an Omicron level mutant, which is a level that Beast made up when meeting her. But yeah, she's immortal because throughout all this time, she didn't age at all. And apparently she's been changing reality to where the original Avengers never die. We also learned that she let all of this happen, Riches taking over the world, because she wanted him to use his power to actually be the hero and save the world. She just said that she couldn't do anything about Riches taking over, but she was still able to do all this other stuff, which Bailey did not believe her at all, and he gets pissed. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take it into my own hands. And walks right up to Riches and finally uses his power to destroy him and every other corrupt mutant in the building, pretty much saving the world and getting revenge for Xavier, showing that no matter what you were born with, you still have the power to become the person you aspire to be, which is a great message. And yeah, that's the end. I gotta admit, that was actually pretty cool. Bailey is someone I would never expect to be any kind of protagonist in a story, but when it comes to this one, he did it pretty well. I like the character and I do like this comic a lot. It was definitely unique. If y'all want me to read more comics, let me know down below. And also let me know what y'all would do if y'all had a power like this. Because if it was me, that would suck, dude. I wouldn't know what to do. Oh, and also last thing, look at this. Toad has a harem. That's crazy. I never thought I would see the day. All right, peace.